Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm gonna give you guys a chance to come into the live stream. So take your time, come in here and get comfortable. And we're gonna have a real nice, real fun, real black, real intelligent conversation. I told you guys yesterday on Dr. Boyce TV, the home for intelligent black people. I told you guys that we were gonna have a brother in that I have a lot of respect for. His name is Chris Broussard. Chris is a respected journalist. He is with Fox Sports among other things. He does a lot of really great stuff and in fact, that is just a component of his work. Chris is not here because he's with Fox Sports. Chris is here because Chris he's what we need in our community in terms of being an upstanding black man that really stands for something, stands for what he believes in, and really represents the community no matter where he goes. Anyway, without further ado, I want to welcome my brother Chris Broussard. How you doing today, man?
I'm great, man. It's a pleasure to be on with you. An honor, too. And thank you for that great introduction.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, the honor's all mine, brother. Now I mentioned your affiliation with Fox Sports. I thought about it, said maybe you didn't want me to mention that, but can you give people a background in terms of I know you do a lot of sports commentary, and also you've spoken out on a lot of other issues and you have a lot of other work. Can you introduce yourself so in terms of what you're connected to? That shapes who you are professionally and otherwise.
Yeah, well, before going to Fox Sports, I was previously at the New York Times for 6 years, covered the NBA there. And then I went to ESPN for 12 years, and I've been at Fox Sports now since 2016. The reason I went to Fox from ESPN was because ESPN wanted to specifically have me as a reporter only. And Fox wanted me to be able to give commentary and be a personality and give more my opinion and analysis, which I prefer. So that's why I'm at Fox Sports. And it's been great. So I appear on all of our sports television shows, Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, First Things First with Chris Carter and Nick Wright, The Herd with Colin Cowherd, Lock It In. And so I'm on several of our shows. And then I also have a national radio show that's on from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time every night, Monday through Friday. It's called The Odd Couple. If you remember that show, The Odd Couple with Oscar and Felix. Oscar was a sports writer. My partner is Rob Parker, who's also African-American. And we are to our knowledge, I believe it's a fact, we're the first two African-American men to have a nationally syndicated sports talk radio show. And so there were the two live stews in Atlanta a few years ago. They were only on about 12 to 20 markets, maybe. We're on roughly 350 markets around the country. It's on Fox Sports Radio, Sirius XM Channel 83, and iHeart Radio app or iHeart Media app. So 4 to 7 Pacific, 7 to 10 Eastern. So I'm doing that. And then outside of sports, my career, I'm the founder and president of the King Movement, which is a national Christian men's movement. And the acronym stands for Knowledge, Inspiration, and Nurture Through God. And our goal as the King Movement is really to help strengthen men in their daily walks with Jesus Christ, Monday through Saturday, outside of the church. And we want to strengthen brothers through brotherhood, fellowship, accountability, encouragement, support, and teaching. And our belief is that if we can, as men, live out our Christian values in our relationships with our families, with our children, in our workplaces, in our fraternities, on our college campuses, that we as a people will be better. Have stronger families, we'll have stronger communities, and then we can rise up and fulfill the potential that God has put in us.
All right. I see some of y'all coming in here, and I want to remind you guys who I'm speaking with. I'm speaking with Mr. Chris Broussard, who is who's doing a lot of things. He has a nationally syndicated radio show with Rob Parker. He also is with Fox Sports, and he's also one of the founders of the King Movement. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. That's one of the reasons why I was happy to have him on, because you guys know how much I believe in the importance of Black men sticking together, being strong, and standing for what they believe in. Now, let's start with that, man. When you said Rob Parker's name jumped out in my head. I watch the different sports shows. I'm not a fanatic with it, but I follow it, right? Like Nick Wright, actually, it's the craziest thing. I saw Nick Wright. He used to be my producer on a sports show we had. No, sorry, it wasn't a sports show. It was like a commentary show I had in Syracuse. And I remember.
That's right, because he was a student there.
Yeah,
so
man.
Were you teaching there when he was there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Man. And I remember he loved sports and he knew his stuff. He was like a senior in college at the time. And I remember I got invited on the show with, I guess the guy's named Colin Cowherd, The Herd or something like that. And I remember I said, I got invited on the show with a guy named Colin Cowherd. And I remember being like, you were on The Herd? You were on The Herd? I was like, oh, I guess it must be a big deal. And then I see him on Fox Sports. He's on Fox Sports too, right? That's his network.
Yeah. Both of them, Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright on Fox.
Yeah, and I was so proud of him, man. And my boy holds it down. Like he holds it. Him and Chris, like, greatest show, the analysis off the chain. So I was super proud of him, man. But
what's interesting with Nick, and I don't know if you know, he's married to an African-American sister.
Yep.
And a lot of people, when he first, really most of the time he's been on Fox, he's always had a really short haircut, like a fade. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people did think he was Black because of, the stances he takes and stuff. One of my friends from college was actually doing something, I believe, there's the Underground Railroad Museum in Cincinnati. And they were having an event. And she asked me to get in touch with him because she wanted him to be one of the panelists. And she thought he was Black. And when he got there, she found out they started talking. She found out he was white. He still did a great job, but yeah, he's a really good brother. And he's great with sports. I mean, he definitely knows what he's talking about. And so he's got a bright future and present.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm super proud of him, man. And really just proud of all, a lot of the brothers on it, man. Yourself and Shannon Sharp and it's funny, even Jason Whitlock. Jason and I have been friends for a long time, and we don't agree on hardly nothing, man. But it's like a respect in the sense that it's like, okay, you know what, you're a brother, I'm a brother. We both care about our community in our own way.
Right.
Judging you for your perspective. Do you think that we could use more of that in the community? It seems that we have a space where a lot of times it's what some would call cancel culture, where it's like, look, if I don't agree with you on this one issue, then I'm gonna write you off on everything else, and I'm not gonna listen to anything you have to say. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan of hearing all the points of view, and then accepting that I'm probably gonna be right and wrong on a lot of issues, and I'm better off listening to other people. How do you cope with that from your perspective as journalists?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think we should be able to disagree. And my thing, as far as African-American people, because a lot of people look down at quote unquote Black conservatives, and Republicans or whatever they may be. I like your stance. I'm with you. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm Black, and I'm not locked into either one of those parties. But I feel like for when people judge like Black conservatives, I feel like, look, if your heart is really in the right place, as far as you are really concerned and committed to the upliftment of African-American people, then you may just simply have a different viewpoint of how we should go about doing that, and that may make you liberal or conservative or whatever. But as long as you're really committed and you're not just selling us out in one way or the other, then I'm fine with it. And, like you said, we need different perspectives. And so I agree with you. Jason and I'm not on his show anymore because exactly what you said, we had a disagreement. And I challenged him on the air, and and then he heard me say something on the podcast, and so he didn't have me on his show anymore. But Jason, I'm like you. I don't agree with a lot of what he says. Some of it I do, but I don't agree with a lot of it. But he's one thing about him is, if you look at his show, Speak for Yourself, it's a Black show. Like almost all the panelists are African American. They talk about African American issues a lot. Now, his perspective is different, and a lot of us don't agree with it. But he is trying to address these issues. He has brought brothers to Fox Sports, gotten them hired. And so you one thing and you've been in corporate America or the academia, a lot of it is who you know. And for so long, African Americans haven't had people in positions, Black people in positions of power where we can bring others in or, recommend others and try to get them hired. And so now at Fox, Rob Parker, myself, Jason Whitlock, there are a lot of guys doing that sort of thing. And that's good. And so, but overall, I agree with your perspective that we need to be able to have this different points of view. You know the saying, when white people, there's a saying in the Black community, white people can disagree on 99 things and agree on one and work together to get that one thing done. Black people can agree on 99 things and disagree on one, and then we don't want to work together and get things done. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, you're right. And when you talk about Jason, yeah, Jason is that brother that will test me big time, because I'll be like, what what are you talking about? In fact, the first article I ever wrote about Jason, maybe like I'm talking about 12, 13 years ago, I kept referring to him as Fat Bastard, the villain from Austin Powers. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And because I was so angry at what he had to say. And but at the same time, I respected the fact that despite the fact that he saw the article, he knew what I said about him, he saw an issue that he agreed with me on, and we talked about it. And he said, "Look, I don't care what you think. It doesn't matter. Here's what I think. And here's a perspective, right?" And I just respect people who stand for what they believe in. And it doesn't matter if I agree with you or not. I'm really checking your spine. Like, do you really believe that, or are you fair weather? Do you kind of blow with the wind? You can't get ahead, especially as a community.
Right.
With that.
I'll say one thing about Fox Sports, because obviously people hear Fox Sports and they get one perspective, or Fox, they hear one perspective. If you look at Fox, we are allowed, regardless of race, but to say your feelings. Like, you got Shannon Sharp and myself kind of on one side of a lot of issues. You got Jason Whitlock's voice on another side. Like, you got Rob Parker. So you get a lot of different viewpoints, whether it may tend to be liberal, conservative, whatever. Whereas I was at ESPN, and that was one of the complaints a lot of people were giving them, is that you weren't, a lot of people felt like if your voice was somewhat conservative, it was muted. It had to be muted, whether it was social issues, political issues, whatever. But and there was a feeling that they were really, really far left with a lot of their commentary. And I feel like at Fox, whatever you left, right, center, you are able to kind of voice your opinion, whatever it may be, more so.
Well, man, I agree with you 100%, and I know exactly what you're referring to with that. And in fact, when I think about the name Rob Parker, I admit I don't know all of his work, but when you said his name, I thought about the fact that one thing you and him have in common that people might remember is that both of you got caught in a pretty heavy controversy, and I remember your controversy. I won't bring it up. I'll let you bring up as much as you want to bring up. Because I'll give that liberty to you. But I remember that what I love is, you stuck to your guns. You stuck to your guns, and there was a lot of pressure. And you are absolutely correct. You got these individuals that it's almost like they, on one hand, they might claim the space of being supporters and saviors of Black people and providers of opportunity. But you get the opportunity, and next thing you know, they're telling you what you can and cannot say. You can be Black as long as you're liberal all the time, and it's like no, and it's funny, man, and I agree with you about Fox. Well, here's something hilarious, man. And one day I was sitting back and I was thinking about it, and I said, man, I'm a finance professor. My PhD is in finance. That's what I know the best. But every time CNN would call me to come on the air, it would always be a racial issue. Or there was a race riot in this city. What do you think? This racial incident happened. What do you think, Doc? And it's fine. I don't mind talking about race. But, you know, when a financial topic came up, you know, they would call on the white guys. You know, the white guys were the financial experts. And to Fox's credit, I said, you know, Fox is actually the only network that said, we don't really want to talk about race. We want to bring you in as a financial expert to talk about the stock market, to talk about investing. You know, so it's ironic. I think that we somehow, you know, I think sometimes we overlook the fact that that there's a type of tyranny that comes with when we align ourselves with any political group, you know, a little too much, to the point where it's like, okay, we love you as long as you're saying what we want you to say and pursuing our agenda. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right. There really is this feeling that, you know, you have to be bought into the Democratic Party if you're African American, which, like we said earlier, I totally disagree with. I'm not a Republican, but I'm more of an independent. And it's funny when you look at a lot of our Black leaders of the past, whether it's Dr. King, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, of course. You look now at Louis Farrakhan, and just Blacks as a whole, because of our religion, whether it's Islam, Christianity, Judaism, whatever, we're very socially conservative. We're viewed as the most socially conservative people in the country, you know, and our leaders, our great leaders of the past, have been socially conservative. But yet when you get locked into the Democratic Party, you betray all those socially conservative views, you know, and so that is a quandary for African American people. Now, on the right, obviously there's elitism. There's kind of a just, you know, don't really care about us, don't want to, not as inclusive and things like that. So I get it on both sides, but that's the quandary of being African American in this country. I just feel like I really don't fit in either side, you know. And so that's why I think we need to be, you know, independent thinkers and just support whatever views support us on whatever the side, right, left, whatever. We have to look out for ourselves. And I've heard some people say we might be better off if there was more of a balance in each party. And I mean, there probably is some truth to that, you know, because now I think we're taken for granted by the Democratic Party. Like, they're going to automatically get all of our vote, no matter what they do or don't do for us. So I do think that there is that feeling that, you know, we have to be in that party, and you have to buy into everything they say, even if it goes against some of our core values.
Yeah, and that just don't work. That don't work for a lot of Black folks. You know, I agree with you, man. And so everybody, let me let you guys know who I'm speaking with. First of all, I want to welcome you guys to drboycetv.com. Don't forget, this is the home for intelligent Black people. So if you're not intelligent and open-minded, then you may want to leave, because you're going to get offended because this conversation may be above your pay grade. We are here to talk freely and to express views that strengthen the Black community, and that's what we're all about. That's what we do. I want to give a quick thank you to everybody who joined us out in Los Angeles. You know, we were down in South Central, had a very vibrant conversation down there. Went out and did an investment seminar. That was a lot of fun. I also saw the play Woke Black Folk by Fumilola Fagbemilia. I hope I pronounced that right. It's a great play. So if you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. Please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Shout out your city and all that, everything else. And so I want you guys to hear what Mr. Broussard has to say. This is Chris Broussard from Fox Sports. He's the founder of the King Movement. He also has a national syndicated radio show. And what's the name of your show that you do with Rob Parker again?
The Odd Couple. The Odd Couple.
The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
That's right. The Odd Couple. And so please check that out. Please support that as well. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I want you guys to see this. You guys may have seen this, you may have not have seen this, but you should see it now. It is a video that Chris did. And I'm gonna tell you, man, my boy shot it down. He did a video on how many of you heard about the Rich Paul rule, what's called the Rich Paul rule, which was a new requirement that the NCAA put in place, to basically regulate the types of sports agents that the athletes could have. And Chris was one of the first people to speak up on this issue. And I was really excited when I saw this video. And I'm gonna play this video right quick. And I'd like to get Chris's direct commentary on what the thinking was behind this video. And there's more to discuss because actually, I believe this video, as well as statements from LeBron and many others, actually led to a recent development in this topic. And then we'll talk about that in a second. So without further ado, let me shoot this video to you guys real quick. Here we go.
Which is appropriate, but I'm going to call they're calling it the Rich Paul rule, which is appropriate, but I'm going to call it something else. Straight up racism. But instead of crying, complaining, and begging, it's time for black people to take action. You fight power with power. And one of our greatest sources of power is our athletic dominance. So I'm calling on all of our great black football and basketball players. Instead of going to these big universities that chew you up, spit you out, and don't care about you, go to an HBCU, a Howard, Morehouse, Hampton, Xavier of New Orleans, and many other schools. I know some of them are still NCAA, but at least the millions of dollars you generate would go to benefiting black people who are in dire need of economic empowerment. Secondly, our professional athletes, instead of giving $2-3 million donations to these big schools that you stayed at for a year or two, give it to an HBCU. Then they could strengthen their academic programs and their athletic programs and facilities.
All right. So let me shut that down right quick. All right. First of all, please give this brother a digital round of applause for what he said. Just give him a thumbs up, give him a thank you. Just say a thank you in the chat to this brother because he did not have to do this video. And don't forget, he's a brother with a real good job or several real good jobs. And this when you make statements like this, it does not come without a backlash. Y'all know how it is. So we get penalized for being too black. So Chris, I guess I'll start with a general question. What drove you to make that video?
Well, when I saw that they put that rule in place, my first thought was this is racist. Simple and plain. They see you see how Rich Paul has become arguably the most powerful agent in the NBA. I mean, in addition to having LeBron James, he has Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, Draymond Green, and several other players. And he's doing a great job. Doesn't have a college degree. And when he got LeBron, and initially he wasn't certified for 3 years by the NBA Players Association. He was certified, but not for 3 years. And that's something I want to bring up. The NCAA, as you know, Boyce, they changed the rule yesterday. And they said, you no longer have to have a bachelor's degree to represent players. And I think that was great, but I also think they should have softened the length of certification needed. Like now you still have to be certified for 3 years. I think that should have been maybe a year or two to give other people a chance because Rich Paul, let's face it, he was able to get into the agent game because of his friendship with LeBron James. And so the threat is that other people are looking at a Rich Paul and saying, I could do that. Whether it's parents or uncles, if I have a nephew who is a promising athlete, basketball player, and I may be thinking, well, I can represent him like Rich Paul's representing LeBron rather than having to go to an agent. And a lot of college coaches, the big time college coaches, have relationships with these agents. So they direct their players to certain agents. And that's where the tie-in comes with the NCAA. So that is one of the threats. And so I'm not saying, look, Rich Paul is very talented, very intelligent, and he worked at Nike. He worked for CAA. Leon Rose was the agent he worked under and learned the game. So it's not just as simple as I can do it. Finances, it's not that simple. However, he has opened the door and created, a lot of opportunities for people, and people are thinking in their minds, I can do that. They see him doing it and they think they can do it. So I think that the rule that, you had to go get a college degree, you had to have 3 years of certification, I thought that it was racist. And I'm glad the NCAA did make the change. I think they could have went a little further, as I said. But look, the fact is so many people, successful people in this country don't have college degrees. College degrees are great. I have one, you have one. However, Steve Jobs doesn't have one or didn't have one. Bill Gates doesn't have one. Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook doesn't have one. So a lot of people who are successful do not have the college degree. And my feeling is that if the NBA certifies the agent, and there's a process you have to go through to get certified, but if the NBA certifies you, then I think you should be able to represent collegiate athletes. And I think the NCAA should have went with those guidelines rather than creating their own.
So Chris, do you think that the NCAA, I noticed the first thing you said in the video is you start off talking about fighting power with power. And I like that language because you just don't hear a lot of power talk, coming from brothers on a national scale, which was what made me happy when I saw so many people sharing the video. I saw, among others, D.L. Hughley, Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, who's another one, David Banner. A lot of people really resonated with the language. I'm sure.
Angela Rye, they shared it. Yeah.
Really, yeah. And I thought that was wonderful because I don't personally believe that, 8 years ago, that video would have been shared as widely as it was. I think that people would have seen that as crazy talk. Like, what do you mean, black? Fight power with power. We ain't got no power. What are you doing? What are you talking about, boy? You gonna get us in trouble, right? This sort of shift in the thinking of black folks, and also that support, courageous support for HBCUs. A lot of people ask this, and I'm sure you guys talk about this in the chat because I know you'd love to know about this as well. A lot of people wonder, what keeps prime black athletes from going to HBCUs? It almost seems like a weird, cart leading the horse situation where the black schools can't get the best black athletes. In the non-black schools, you look at schools like USC, UCLA, as a person from academia, I remember looking at their hiring record and saying, man, they've got a bunch of departments that have never hired a black person. It seems like the way to get onto campus is to dribble a basketball, throw a football. But if you're there to do biology, or if you're doing something other than that, there's no room for you. But yet they have the prime black athletes. What is the barrier keeping our best athletes from going to the HBCUs?
Well, I want to address a few things you said. First of all, the fight power with power. I feel like, you notice I began by saying, instead of crying and complaining and begging, a lot of times our MO in terms of getting equality and justice is honestly just kind of to beg and hope that white people do the right thing. We're deserving of, right? We built the country. There's no question about it. We deserve reparations. We deserve equality and justice, no question about it. Okay. But we're just in a position typically of hoping and praying, please do the right thing and give it to us. And I'm saying I understand that, but we do have some power, some things that we can use ourselves to get the things we want. I think there's the vote, which is, I think, limited, but there is that. I also think our athletic dominance and well, let me go to the second one. There's a vote. Secondly, I would say consumerism. You always have the power of the boycott. And then in certain industries, sneakers, attendance at movies, we have an inordinate amount, and we spend an inordinate amount of our income on consumer products. So our consumerism could be used as a weapon to gain equality. We saw that was the case in the civil rights movement with the bus boycott and so on and so forth. If we boycotted certain things, we would be able to use that as a weapon to get what we want. And then our third weapon, if you will, in fighting for justice and equality, I believe, is our dominance of athletics and entertainment, but specifically athletics. And I've said this, African-American athletes are the most well-connected. They're the wealthiest and the richest. If you look at Forbes' top 10 list of, wealthiest African-Americans, all but probably one of them are related to sports or entertainment. And they're the most beloved and they're the most irreplaceable Black people in America, if not in the world. And so, like, you can find a white or a journalist of another race to do what I do, or what you can find a white accountant to replace a Black one, a white lawyer to replace a Black lawyer. You can't find we haven't seen it, a white LeBron James, you know, a white Adrian Peterson, you know, or somebody like that, you know. So these guys are irreplaceable, and that gives them power. And so that's what I'm really getting at is we need, now everybody's free to do what they want, you know, and if you don't want to share your money, spend your money a certain way, that's on you. But sometimes I get tired of us just complaining about our situation, but then those of us who are in positions to really do something about it don't do anything. It's just like we want, you know, whites to just give us, help us, do this for us, you know, lead us, guide us, do, you know, instead of taking some initiative and doing it for ourselves. Yes, we should still fight on that front as well and getting them to do what's right, but we need to do some things ourselves. And so I think our athletes, I'll give you an example. What if I'm a superstar Black athlete and McDonald's or Coca-Cola or some giant company, Adidas, wants me to endorse their product? What about, okay, you want me to endorse your company. What percentage of your management is African American? Oh, only 4%. Okay, we're 12% of the population, 13% of the population. I would like to get that management number up to 13%. So let's say in my contract, within 5 years, I want it up to 13%. You know, it can incrementally grow. You say you can't find qualified African Americans. Okay, well, let's start a management trainee program where you hire some out of college and you train them to become management, and then they feed into those positions. I mean, that's the type, if I'm that great, then they want me. That's some type of stipulation I could put. Even what you said with the universities. If a big time university wants me to go there, wow, only 3% of your faculty is African American. I don't like that. I want to see more Black professors in biology and finance. You know, that's the power. I believe UCLA is 2 or 3% African American. I think it's 2.5%, but it's around that number.
The student body, or you mean in fact?
The student body. And so that's just one example of the power that I think our athletes, and to a lesser extent our entertainers, have in this country. And if we would use it, I think we could help ourselves instead of just always being in the position of begging someone else to do it. Answer the second part as far as why our best athletes are going to the white universities. Look, obviously they have the better facilities. They are on the national television, and, you know, they're the ones that are put out there and, you know, as the greatest programs. So I think when I call for African-American athletes to go to HBCUs, I get it. I think it would have to be somewhat of a process. So I think in basketball is a little different, but say football, the athletic facilities at Grambling, the football facilities, or FAMU compared to Florida State or LSU, it's not even close, you know, to what, you know, it's not even in the same atmosphere as far as Grambling's facilities versus Florida State's. And so that is why a lot of athletes will go, you know, and these are young men, you know, they're drawn, you know, they're 18 years old. So they want to go to the big, you know, school with the best facilities. And I understand that, I get it. But that is one of the reasons that you see a lot, not to mention on national television, in the national rankings, and, you know, you just get much more publicity. That's why I think there will have to be a process to go forward for our best athletes to attend the HBCUs. I think one of the first steps would be I think initially as you mentioned, all the people that are pushing out the video and replaying the video, reposting the video that I made, you really would need to get a group, a board or panel, if you will, of influential African Americans to begin pushing this agenda. Okay, that'd be number one. It's some athletes, some entertainers, some, you know, economists, some public figures, just people in various realms, powerful African Americans to push this agenda, number one. Number two, once you identify African American institutions that you would want to give to the HBCUs, look, we've seen it in the news. Some of our HBCUs financially, and a lot of it probably because they don't have the funds, but they would need to go through some type of financial audit, you know, and make sure and have open accounting for these donations. I think, and the athletes would be able to earmark it to where they wanted it to go, so it doesn't get lost. One of the people you mentioned reached out to me, and they had worked. They were very familiar with the workings of an HBCU. One in particular, I won't mention the name, but one famous celebrity wanted to donate a couple of $1 million to the institution, but he wanted open accounting with his money so he could know where it was going. The institution rejected it because they didn't want the open accounting. So I think before I ask athletes to give millions of dollars to an institution, I would want to make sure that that money is going to be used the way they want it to be used. So I think a financial audit, open accounting would have to be in place. And then you have to get our African American athletes to make these donations to the HBCUs. So we've seen Carmelo Anthony at Syracuse. I think he gave $1 million to help them build a new athletic facility. Russell Westbrook gave $2 million to UCLA. I believe Kevin Durant gave $3 million, I believe it was, to Texas, where he stayed for a year, probably only went to classes for a semester. You know, Dr. Dre, let's get into entertainment. He and Jimmy Iovine gave what, $70 million to USC, 35 each, I assume. And I'm not saying you can't donate to these, you know, predominantly white institutions as they're known, but at the very least, you could give some as well to HBCUs, at the very least, if not just making the donation to HBCUs, because you know, Boyce, having worked at Syracuse, they don't need that money.
They do not need that money.
Oh, that's like me giving you a quarter or $1. You know what I mean? They don't need that, and right. But the HBCUs need it, and if we got athletes to make millions, multi-million-dollar donations to the HBCUs, first of all, and I'm saying this somewhat tongue-in-cheek, forget the sports. Imagine how that money could be used to build up the academic programs and aspects of the school. And it could be used to build up the athletic facilities, you know, and pay the coaches more, make the dormitories better, the locker rooms, the facilities. Then an LSU wouldn't have that facility advantage over a Southern, you know, or over a Prairie View. And then you would have a great chance of getting the athletes there. And that's not even to mention, Boyce, think about if the best athletes went to these HBCUs. This is not 1955. So those HBCUs would be in the NCAA tournament in March Madness. They would be, you know, playing in the major bowl games, you know, in college football. And all the television, they would be on national television on a weekly basis. All that money you generated would be able to go toward those institutions. And you could lift them up, a Howard, a Morehouse, a Hampton, which are already great schools. They could become really upper echelon, not just Black schools, but schools, colleges, period, in America. So, and I think it could be done. There was nothing I said that was unrealistic. It's just a matter of, do we, you know, want to do it? Do we have the determination, the fortitude to come together and do it? Or do we just want to continue to, please give us this, please, you should do this, and beg and complain and all that?
Man, you brought up I started getting a nervous twitch when you start talking about just all the money that the athletes will give to these institutions that don't need it. And if you've seen the budgets in terms of how much money I mean, these schools are like, they're like the Pablo Escobars of education. Like, remember how they said Pablo lost $2 billion a year because the money would get eaten by the rats. He had so much money, he didn't know where to keep it. He'd have rooms with 100 stacks to the ceiling. That's what these universities have become. They're like the Pablo Escobars. They got so much money, they don't know what to do with. They're nonprofit, so they have to spend it. That's why they're actually part of the gentrification process. A lot of these schools, they're right in black neighborhoods, like the Yales and Syracuse and other, et cetera. And they're buying entire blocks of black neighborhoods because they're like, we got all this cash. And a lot of it from y'all student loans that a lot of half of all black college graduates can't even repay their student loans, but that money is going to these universities, which is impacting black wealth, right? The athletes are $1 trillion commodity, $1 trillion asset coming out of the community. A lot of that trillions going, to institutions that don't even want us there. Maybe, it definitely is athletes, maybe as students, definitely not as the primary beneficiaries of the vast systems that they have in place, right? And Dr. Dre, every time I go to South Central, I'm kind of prepared for a confrontation because I know Dr. Dre was very pissed off when I wrote an article about what he did when he gave all that money to USC. I didn't mean to be mean to the brother, and I talked to some people that work with him, and one of my friends actually got cut off from him. He said, man, Dre saw your article. He saw that I shared it on Facebook. Man, he blocked me on Facebook, and I felt bad about that because I didn't want him to feel bad for what he was doing, but it was like, come on, man, you could do so much more. Do you know USC, the amount of money you gave them, they spend that much money in a couple of weeks. Like that's like their extra loose change money, but you give that money, even a fraction of that to an HBCU, you're educating tens of thousands of your own people over the next 100 years. I mean, just if you can't even think about the community, think about yourself. That's a massive legacy. That you can leave. Name the building after your daughter, and this building is educating all these people, man. And I think that just shifting that thinking, that's what I love about your video, because I know that so many people in the sports space hear you, and I got some athletes to listen to me, but you are right in the thick of it, man. And I love the fact that the video went viral, and I think it's going to make a difference. And I want to ask you a last question, because I know you got a busy schedule, man. And we're not gonna keep you all day. I know everybody's loving you, by the way, in the chat. Everybody, please say thank you to Mr. Broussard for coming in and sharing his perspective. He's a good brother, and I hope you guys will support everything he's doing. He's on Fox Sports. He also has a show called The Odd Couple, which is on Fox Sports Radio, Sirius XM, iHeartRadio. You said 7 to 10 Eastern, right?
Yep, 7 to 10 Eastern.
7 to 10 Eastern. And also, he is the founder of the King movement. King stands for knowledge. Is it knowledge,
inspiration, and nurture through God?
Knowledge and inspiration, nurture through God. So, and we'll
go to kingmovement.com if they want to check out the website, kingmovement.com.
There you go. Okay, so you guys please write that down. Please type it in the chat, kingmovement.com. We must support people that we believe in, because when they go in the heat of battle, they need to know they've got 1 million people behind them. It's very, very important. Don't just watch this happen. Be a part of the movement. Be a part of all of this. So I'm going to ask you a last question, man. This is one that I think you are uniquely qualified to answer because of your experience as a journalist, and you are from Ohio. And there's another great brother from Ohio by the name of LeBron James. And I know that I assume you've interacted with him on multiple occasions. I remember asking you, I was like, so one of the questions, I don't know if you remember this, man, but I was like, so is LeBron a real brother? Like what is, I never met him. I was like, is this real? Is he really that guy? And you said, yes, you had a lot of good things to say about him. Now, let me tell you why LeBron comes to mind. And I'd love to get your take on this. I worry about him a little bit because he is so unique. It's so special. I mean, you compare him to the era, before him, it almost seemed like you had a little bit of selfishness, that the idea was, don't take on problems that don't belong to you. Don't get involved in social issues. Just, play basketball, shut up and dribble, make your money, and that's it. LeBron is the opposite of that. LeBron is headed, in my opinion, to that Muhammad Ali space, that very sacred space of athletes that have used their power really to elevate the people on a massive scale. And in my experience from what I have seen, when Black men really challenge the system in that way, next thing you know, there's a scandal. Next thing you know, the media somebody says, okay, we want to make sure, and maybe I'm being paranoid on this, but I really, I see so many other powerful Black men that have been taken down by the media for whatever reason. Do you have a similar concern with LeBron, and how do you feel in terms of what he's contributing to the Black community and how that could play out for him?
Well, I think, as you said, first of all, he's done a tremendous job. You know, when LeBron was raised, one of his youth coaches, Drew Joyce, used to always talk to LeBron. I mean, from time LeBron's like 11 years old and up, he would always talk to him about, don't let the game use you. You use the game. And that's what LeBron James has done. Obviously loves the game of basketball for itself, but he's used his excellence in basketball to branch out into other things he wants to do as an individual that he may just be interested in. And also he's used it to help empower other people around him. I think, you know, in the 60s with Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown, Bill Russell, so on and so forth, just speaking out was a big deal. You know, that was huge. I mean, just having the courage at that time to speak out and stand up for what you believe, you know, John Carlos and Tommy Smith to raise the fist at the Olympics, that took tremendous courage, and that was huge. But at this point in 2019, just speaking out is not enough. Now, speaking out is good. It's nice to do, but we need more than just speaking out. You know, we need other actions to take place. And that's what I think LeBron James has done. I think he has given us, to some degree, the blueprint for what these athletes coming up should be looking at. So, you know, if I'm a great athlete and I got my boys around me in the hood, you know, that you know, if I make it, I want to help them out. Instead of just getting into the NBA or the NFL and letting them hang around me and kick it and just hang out and be boys and enjoy, you know, all the fruits of being in the NBA, why not, you know, what LeBron did was, you know, he got his guys, he put them in position, Rich Paul, Maverick Carter, Randy Mims, he put them in positions where they could be empowered and eventually become, you know, moguls and businessmen on their own. So now Maverick Carter running Spring Hill Entertainment, and Uninterrupted. When LeBron retires, Maverick Carter is now a mogul in his own right. When LeBron retires, Rich Paul has other athletes, you know, that he's representing. He's fine now in his own right, you know, and that's what I would like to see. Even if an athlete, a great athlete, said to one of his boys, look, I'm gonna send you to college. I got this multi-million-dollar deal. I'm gonna send you to college. You got 5-6 years to graduate. When you graduate, you can come get a job working for me. Or, you know, well, I'm endorsed by Nike or Adidas or Under Armour or whoever. I'm gonna get you a job working there, you know, and I want you to learn, and we can get you on the management track. Those are the type of things. Instead of just kicking it and having fun, put the guys you want to help in positions to be empowered. Because as you know, Boyce, I mean, so much, that's what the other communities do. You know, it's so much who you know. And now we haven't had people in positions of power for the bulk of our history in this country. And now we're beginning to get some, and they need to help and, you know, help put others in positions to flourish and succeed. So I love that what LeBron is doing in that respect. As far as, you know, will people go after him? That's a good question. You know, obviously LeBron is an upstanding, positive individual. He's not perfect, you know, none of us are. So I certainly hope not. I haven't seen any signs or indications or heard any rumblings about anything like that, people going after him in that regard. But as you said, when you speak out and I mean, some of the things, I don't want to go as far as revolutionary, but it's certainly stuff that is changing power. I mean, even the Rich Paul rule, it may not be a coincidence that rule was changed the day that Rich wrote an editorial in The Athletic. you know, and that very same day it was changed. So they do have some power. And anytime you mess with people's money or you want to shift power around, some people may not like it, but he's so powerful. He's such a great athlete, and he's connected in other areas. He's obviously connected in Hollywood. He's got business interests and things like that. You know, LeBron's been very smart to use people like Warren Buffett, who he's developed a friendship with, as a sounding board. And, you know, so he's connected to some powerful people, obviously. So hopefully that shields him from any foul play that anyone would want to use to try to go at him and try to ruin the things he's doing.
Yeah. I you know, I didn't want to be a paranoid conspiracy theorist on this, man. But, you know, when I've seen unfair portrayals of other Black men, particularly athletes or just men that are pushing a progressive agenda, everybody from Farrakhan across the board, that unfair media portrayal, just that portrayal of him as a bad guy, or here's a woman who says that he was emotionally abusive to her, right? You know, no proof, no evidence, no nothing. Just, you know, if people buy into it because they've already got this prior preconceived idea or image of what a Black man is, particularly a Black athlete, right? So my theory had always been that as LeBron, when LeBron's here as a player, winning championships, you know, you're insulated. But then I'm wondering, as he gets a little bit older, and also he's doing some amazing stuff. I mean, that documentary he's doing on the NCAA. I mean, I'm just sitting there saying, man, I'm clapping for this brother. And I'm thinking, oh man, when I start clapping, it becomes dangerous. You know, like that's what I don't know if you want me clapping for you too much, because you're really pushing the boundaries, man. But I bring that point up, and this last point, man, I'm gonna let you get the last word, brother, before we head out. I bring that point up really to kind of prepare the community to defend him and to support him. You know, to not buy into all the BS. You know, be fair, be intelligent, but have critical thinking skill, so you can understand that just because the Washington Post or somebody writes an article saying you're a bad guy, that there's usually multiple sides to that story, and I want to make sure he gets a fair hearing. Doesn't mean anybody gets a free pass, but I've just seen so many of our strong men just get those media attacks, and we buy into that, and some of them deserve it. You know, like you look at, for example, an R. Kelly kind of guy. There's a lot to say on that, right? I'm not even in that space of indefensible behavior. But then, I remember when Terrell Owens got, sort of criticized and brought out in front of the media in a really humiliating way. And it wasn't that I thought T.O. was like the perfect man, but I was like, well, wait, what did he do? Did he
right.
his wife? Did he rape somebody? Did he murder? No. Oh, he's a bad person. Well, man, y'all been saying Black men are bad people since slavery, like get out of here with that nonsense, So I'll let you get the last word, brother. I know we talked about 20 to 30 minutes, and you've been here 52 minutes, and just so he's got a crazy schedule. And so I'm gonna let you get the last word. We will head on out, brother. Any other thoughts on your mind?
Well, man, look, like you said, we've gone 50 minutes, and you and I, we've done this before. I mean, we talk on the phone or we get on video, and we can just go forever, So it's been enjoyable, no doubt. I just support what you're doing, and I think that you're a great forum for these different ideas and viewpoints that we need to begin addressing in our community, or continue addressing. And so I just support what you're doing at the Black Business School and with your Black World and all that. So just keep up the great work. And I appreciate being on the show.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you as well, brother. And everybody, please give Mr. Chris Broussard a digital round of applause. Just write a quick thank you in the chat. Because I'm telling you, it ain't easy to do this work. It ain't easy being Black. It's much easier to pretend to be Black. So so giving him support is very important. And so please give him a digital thank you. Another way you can thank and support is supported the projects that he has going on. He is the founder of the King Movement, which stands for Knowledge and Inspiration and Nurturing Through God. Is that right?
Knowledge, inspiration, and nurture through God. Yep.
Knowledge and inspiration and nurture through God. That the URL is it kingmovement.com?
Kingmovement.com, yes.
Kingmovement.com. So please check that out. Also, his radio show is called The Odd Couple. He hosts it with Rob Parker. It's fill in the blanks for me, brother, if you can. Fox Sports Radio, Sirius XM, iHeartRadio. I heard 7 to 10 Eastern. Can you give me the specific channels where people can easily find?
Yep. Like you said, Fox Sports Radio. It's on over about 350 markets nationwide. It's on the Sirius XM channel 83. Sirius XM channel 83. The iHeart Radio app, iHeart Media app. So if you're in a city where they don't get the Fox Sports Radio or you don't have Sirius, you can go to get that iHeart Media app and listen to the show 7 to 10 Eastern time in the evening, 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday. But I'm on vacation this week, so you won't hear me on there this week. But someone's filling in for me. But yeah, definitely check that out.
All right. And also don't forget, he's also on Fox Sports. So he does a lot of great television commentary, very intelligent, very seasoned, respected journalist. You know, he got, what you been, you got 30 years in the game now in journalism?
Man, 1990. So yeah, 29.
Man,
about to be 30.
the time goes by so fast, don't it?
Yep.
So fast. All right, so everybody, please, before you go, please hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button. Also, don't forget, I want everybody to be an investor. I can show you how to buy your first share of stock in 5 minutes. We have a free training at blackmoney100.com. That's blackmoney100.com. So go to blackmoney100.com, sign up, watch the quick video. It's been seen by well over 1 million people, and it will show you how to buy your first share of stock. So make sure you invest for your family. Also, a reminder, the All Black National Convention happens the weekend of September 27th in Houston, Texas. So if you want to learn more about that, please visit allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. And in fact, Chris, I'm going to invite you. I'm going to try to see if I can work in your schedule for next year to get you at the convention. We'll make it work somehow.
Would love for that to happen, man. Would love for that to happen.
All right. Awesome. Very awesome. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for hanging out with us today. It was real, brother.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
And you know where I'm at. I want to see you up here next year. I'm just putting that out there.
Yes. I will have a story to tell by this time next year. We'll talk to the missus right now and see what you're thinking on that too, man. So thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate it. And best to you and your family.
All right, my man. See you.
All right. So you guys take care. Have a good day. And we will see you guys soon. Be good. Peace.